Welcome back to another Rest Eat Move podcast. Chris is in the hot seat today. I'm not sure where Matt's at, but I want to talk today about as we move into the new year. And in my Rest Eat Move book, the last chapter, which is, I believe, my favorite one to write it, and the Rest Eat Move book took me a couple years to write, but I want to summarize at the very end kind of everything about life and how we think and just our relationships with people and what makes life special. But the name of the chapter is called Just Let It Rain. So I'm just going to take a couple highlights today. This won't be a very long podcast, but I thought at the beginning of the year, this might be very, just beneficial to talk about it. I don't really get to talk much about this. Again, we kind of allude to it sometimes. But so here's a couple things from this chapter. So in every journey, there comes a time and a place where things may not go as planned, and dark clouds begin to move in. But don't worry, stay the course. It's these experiences that can make life incredibly rich and special. And I think we all look back on our lives and say, okay, that was not a fun time in my world, but boy, oh boy, I'm so glad it happened. I remember when I ruptured my patella tendon playing basketball in 2000, and I remember some of my clients would say, they came back and said, "You're different." I thought, what way am I different? You're just more compassionate. And I thought to myself, gosh, was I that guy? But it really did make me vulnerable. And as I look back, it was a very traumatic injury, rupturing the patella. But it really did make me look at things differently. And really what it hit me is that I was bedridden for 14 days. Then I moved into a wheelchair and then a walker, and it was really hard for me to get in and out of the shower. And it really kind of created that awareness that, life is really special. And when your health disappears, there's nothing more important really that when we look at that is like, how do we take care of loved ones? Well, we have to take care of our health first. So that's really what this is about today. And I was laughing to myself. My kids will make fun of me all the time. Dad, you tell the same jokes that you laugh at. But I remember when I was in grade school, we'd come home for lunch, and it was just some kind of a magical time. But we would watch Let's Make a Deal. Monty Hall had this game show, and for those of you out there that are in my age category, you all get it. And it's on today, but it's much different. But they had these three doors, door number 1, 2, and 3. And the whole, people were dressed up in crazy outfits and lots of energy, and Monty Hall did a great job. But behind each of these doors, there was either amazing, a car or an incredible vacation, or you would get zonked. And the zonk would be you might get 500 balloons or, just stuff that was really not good. But I always think about that as how we begin when talking about our healthcare professionals. So when you say, okay, I'm going to go see my doctor in the beginning of the year or sometime during the year, imagine the doctor had 3 doors and you get to choose. So it's not fair to your healthcare professional that you come in with all these challenges and you get to choose. And the door number 1 is the easy door. This is the easiest path. You don't change a thing. You don't have to move your body. You can eat whatever you want. The list goes on and on. You can stay up all night, play video games, do whatever you want. Easy path. But we all know that easy path is going to get really rocky. Here's the medications. Don't have to change a thing. Well, in reality, that road's going to get really rocky. So that's door number 1. Door number 2 is the moderate door. You need to put in some effort here. And this may be the place you need to start, but you got to put some effort in. Don't have to get crazy here, but you got to put some effort in. So what door do you want to go down that door? Because eventually, as time goes on, you build a few habits. That road's going to get a lot smoother. But then the last one is the effort door. That means you're kind of all in. It's the most difficult door to open. Wind's in your face. Everything's a struggle. But as time goes on, that road gets much smoother and the wind starts to shift. And maybe now it's at your back. So the next time you go to see your health professional, I want you to ask them, it's like, okay, what door, imagine they had that choice, what door do you want to choose? Because we need to help them. You need to tell them that. Like, I'm ready to go. Okay, here we go. I want to make it challenging. I'm ready to go. I'm going to make some changes. I don't want to be on that blood pressure medication. I'm going to work on my diaphragmatic breathing. I don't want to be on a statin med. I'm going to stake my cod liver on the flaxseed and start paying attention to what I'm eating. So again, think about that over time, but you have to get in the game. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about, so number one was Monty Hall, let's make a deal. What door do you want to choose? Door number 1, 2, or 3. Number 2 is ducks on a frozen pond. And I just did a podcast on movement for over age 50. We're all going to make compromises as we age. So don't think you're not. We're all doing it. I've made many compromises as I've aged. But are we making these compromises too prematurely? And that's kind of what we talk about on Target Living, is how do you age vibrantly, or just aging in general. But have you stopped learning and growing? I'm really, as I've gotten older, I think I'm more curious now than I've ever been. I have more of a desire to learn than I always want to learn. So that's what I want to ask the question. Have you stopped learning and growing? Are you no longer taking the stairs? My daughter lives in Chicago, and this nice condo, and you can take the elevator or you can take the stairs. Well, most of the time I'm going to take the stairs unless we have a bunch of things to carry, because I still can. But have you stopped doing some of the activities that you once enjoyed? That's the thing I want to share with my grandkids. I want to continue to snow ski with them, water ski with them. But again, that's part of my training, is I want to continue to do that. So imagine a flock of ducks that decided not to fly south for the winter because it was too much work, and they were just so comfortable staying right in their own pond. So think about that for a minute. Then one day the ducks realized their feet are frozen solid into the pond. As I mentioned, seasons will change for all of us at some point, but we cannot let our feet become frozen on the pond. I have found personally and professionally that most of the good stuff is found in the effort and the struggle. I think we all agree to that. So don't let yourself get stuck in the frozen pond. Number 3 is a Chinese bamboo tree. I end many of my presentations talking about this. This is where habits are built. But the Chinese bamboo tree is a story about perseverance, patience, faith, hope, and human potential. What makes the Chinese bamboo tree unique is that it does not grow out of the ground for the first 4 years after being planted. You got to water it, you got to love it, you got sunshine, you got to nurture it. But for the first 4 years, there's no visible sign of life or growth that can be seen at the surface. Our patience may become tested. We begin to wonder if our efforts of caring for the tree will ever be rewarded. But here it comes. But then in year 5, the tree pops out of the ground and grows 90 feet in 90 days. And here's the question. Did the tree lie dormant for 4 years only to grow exponentially in the 5th year? Was the little tree growing underground, developing a root system strong enough to support its potential for incredible growth in the 5th year and beyond? The answer is, of course, it's the latter. Had the tree not developed its strong its root system, it could not sustain its life and grow so tall. But how many of us give up on our dreams or aspirations when they're just about to see a major change to take shape? Our success may take space, time, patience, perseverance, but by building a strong foundation, we'll be able to overcome adversity and the challenges along the way. We must stay focused and continue to believe in our plan and our process despite not seeing immediate results. That's always the thing we talk about habits, is like, okay, imagine that. But our culture today is about instant gratification, and this may be one of the greatest challenges. Maybe you're now prioritizing rest and rejuvenation in your lifestyle. Maybe you started eating a little bit better, drink more water, or move more. But the key on all this is that we need to create a lifestyle plan that we can just kind of stick with, and then we slowly can see these changes occur. So that's the challenge I think we all have to take, is to kind of stay the course, which leads us into the next piece, and this is called Married to the Process. And years ago, when I started bodybuilding back in 1985 was my first contest, I really didn't have a clue what I was doing. But as time went on, I started developing a process. And usually by week 5, usually I was kind of dialing in for about 16 weeks, good solid 4 months. And it was a slow process. I mean, it really didn't change a lot, but I just got more focused. I stayed more in the center. If food had more than 2 or 3 ingredients, I didn't eat it. My serving sizes were smaller. I ate a little more frequently. My exercise was a little bit more intense, but nothing crazy. But it was always interesting to me about week 5 by following the process, because I would have been frustrated if I didn't know what I knew. But if I just kind of stayed with the process, about week 5, it would start kicking in, and then all of a sudden it'd start picking up speed. And people would say to me all the time, what are you doing differently? I'm doing nothing differently. I just kind of stayed the course. So that's the process. But staying married to the process is hard. People think all the time is like, okay, I want to lose weight. Well, it's not about the outcome of losing the weight, or you get on a scale and it's not budging. But the challenge is, how can I stay with the process? Because again, it gets to be very dismal. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. So how do you get married to the process? If your aspiration is to sleep better, what behavior or tiny habits are you going to focus on to get started? If your aspiration is to lose weight, what does your process look like? Maybe you're drinking more water. You're cutting some things out. Maybe you're moving more, whatever it is. But what does the process look like versus just focused on the outcome? Or maybe you want to improve your fitness level. What steps do you need to take? Well, I need to start doing some strength training, or I need to work on more mobility or flexibility or balance, whatever it is. But that's the process. But being married to the process can be challenging. And that's what I always want to say is like, okay, let's develop a process that you can repeat and hopefully enjoy. And then the outcomes are going to take shape automatically. And then we move into this thing called the climb. And that's the thing when we talk about the climb, this is where all the good stuff is. This is the hard stuff. This is the struggle. You have to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. But in the climb, this is where again, the challenge is like, okay, this is really hard, but if it was so easy, it probably wouldn't be that powerful. And so some of the most challenging things I've had in my life became some of the best that I'm really, proud of. Raising kids. I see my son and my daughter they each have 3 kids, and it's the struggle they're going through right now. But again, I tell them both, it's a season of life. It will get better. It will be different. Again, there's some really benefits of part of that, raising them, but it's challenging for all the new parents out there. But in my opinion, there's nothing greater than raising healthy, happy kids. But it doesn't happen overnight. I think my wife, Paula, is much more, I think she can take a lot more credit for it than I can. But I look back over the years and I'm like, some of the hardest things we've had to do, but that's the climb. You're going to have hurdles to jump over. You're going to stumble. There are going to be rough waters, bumpy roads. But again, that's the pursuit. And people used to ask me, why did you compete in bodybuilding so many times? I said, because it was all about the climb. It was never about getting on stage. It was never about winning a sword. It was all about the climb. And again, it was a challenge. It wasn't about who you're competing against. It was about competing against yourself and putting yourself in situations. That's why when you look at Tough Mudder and, climbing the Grand Canyon, and this is what gets people, they're so connected and so inspired because of some of these things that they do, but that's the climb. And I think we all don't have to shy away from the climb. All right, so as I wrap this up, and as I mentioned, it's going to be a short one today, but I thought these would be maybe some nuggets that you can take into the beginning of the year. But nothing comes from nothing. You have to put forth the effort. You got to plant seeds. The seeds you plant today is what you'll harvest tomorrow. That's compound interest. That's why if you say, hey, I'm going to start moving my body regularly, or I might start taking some superfoods, drinking more water, getting to bed a little earlier, these are all seeds you're planting. Try things. Clarity comes from your experiences. People ask me all the time, how did you know that? I said, because I've made mistakes and I've tried different things. So again, play around with your workout. How do you make it a little bit better? How do you make it more fun? When you look at your nutrition plan, how can you make it a little bit more engaging? How can you make it simpler? But you got to try things. Dark clouds will move in. There's no doubt about it. But when you're climbing the mountain and the clouds move in, don't give up. So the key is how do you develop this self-mastery? And we all have this. We're all trying to have this self-mastery as life hits us. So as I wrap this up, I want you to really think about the simple things. Your breathing, a good night of sleep, a healthy meal, moving your body. This is all about the climb. This is all about, and again, as I mentioned, the clouds will move in. But I think moving in, we have lots of resources we're here to help you with. We have our books. We have our app. We have podcasts that we come out with each week. And more importantly, we got an amazing team that's here to help you. So if you have something that part of your journey that you feel help with, shoot us an email. We're happy to help you. In fact, many times we'll get on the phone. I don't know many organizations that will say, hey, shoot us an email. We're going to get on the phone. We will do that. I'm in the season of my life that I want to help any way I can and help you with your journey, help you with your climb. So here's to the power of feeling your best. So when dark clouds begin to move in, don't run for cover. You are ready. Take pleasure when it begins to rain. So here's wishing everybody a life of healthy happiness. Hope you have an amazing year, and I'll see you next time.